What even counts as an indie game anymore? On Steam, there's almost 100,000. No Man's Sky, Megabonk, Stardew Valley, Hades 2, Risk of Rain, Kenshi, Pow World, Terraria. I mean, some of these are obvious, but almost 100,000. The term indie had been long used in film and music, but for a lot of us lifetime gamers, it only really became meaningful once PC gaming was dominated by storefronts that spotlighted small creators. Historically, an indie game was straightforward. It was developed by an independent studio, a small team with limited funding, no major publisher attached. In 2026, though, that definition has completely blurred. The industry has changed forever. Funding flows freely into promising projects, seasoned developers move between AAA and smaller teams, and the old boundaries no longer hold cleanly. What then is a AAA game today? Broadly, it's a title that's backed by a well-known studio with substantial budgets, often tied to established franchises like Call of Duty or Assassin's Creed and so on, neither of which particularly interests this guy, I'll admit. I still enjoy plenty of large-scale games like Dark Souls, Elden Ring, Battlefield, Final Fantasy, Grand Theft Auto, but I just no longer gravitate towards them the way I did when I was a kid or a teenager or my early 20s. Indie titles now hold far more appeal to me, which brings me to the question that prompted this video. What actually qualifies as an indie game anymore? I'm deeply invested in two titles that sit right in this gray area. Last Epoch, the action RPG from 11th Hour Games, and The Forever Winter, a tactical horror PvE extraction shooter from Fundog Studios. Both are traditionally regarded as indie projects made by independent developers, yet both have received significant outside funding. Fundog Studios secured backing from Galaxy Interactive. 11th Hour Games took early investments from Tencent for a small stake, and in 2025 was acquired by Krafton for approximately $100 million to prevent the closure of the studio. So are these games still indie? They're certainly not AAA. They lack the skill, marketing muscle, and brand recognition of Blizzard or Activision titles. They're not even fully AA in the conventional sense, yet they compete directly with AA games like Path of Exile 2 by Grinding Gear Games and Escape from Tarkov, and even brush up against AAA heavyweights like Diablo 4. AAA status isn't just about the money. It requires massive marketing campaigns, teams of hundreds or thousands of developers, high graphical fidelity, broad commercial appeal, and revenue in the tens or hundreds of millions. Quality is also often cited as a hallmark, though many would arguably disagree with that these days. Many studios begin as indie outfits, and through success, they gradually ascend to AA or AAA status. The tiering system, indie, single A, AA, AAA, mirrors classifications used in baseball, finance, and even in cuisine. Blizzard itself started as an independent developer. They originally wanted to make a Warhammer RTS, but unable to secure the licensing, they created their own spiritual successor, Warcraft. That one decision launched a studio that would eventually become one of the largest in the industry.
All right, chums up. Ready, guys? Let's do this. Leroy Dragons!
Oh my god, he just ran in.
Gaming is now the world's largest entertainment medium by revenue, surpassing film and music combined. Think about that for a second. It's no surprise that major investment firms pour capital into promising mid-sized and small studios. A successful early stake can yield enormous returns. 11th Hour Games is a perfect case study. That studio, who made Last Epoch, began on Reddit. Judd Kobler, the CEO, and a handful of ARPG enthusiasts came together to build the game that they wanted to play. That is as grassroots as it gets. They later sold a minority stake to Tencent, one of the most active investors in gaming. And in 2025, facing unprofitability, despite strong player numbers and community support, they were acquired by Krafton. The community response was mixed. Some felt betrayed. Others, like me, are relieved that the project would continue. New seasons are in development, and the game's first major expansion is on the way. Has Krafton's influence already changed the game? Not noticeably. No sweeping updates have arrived since the acquisition. No dramatic shifts in the direction of the game. The studio's grown and hired, but the core vision still feels intact. For the moment, I would still call Last Epoch an indie game, though that label's becoming more tentative by the day. With a PlayStation 5 release on the horizon and more seasons ahead, we'll likely see in the next year or two whether it retains its roots or begins to feel more corporate. Fundog Studios and the Forever Winter remain unambiguously indie for now. The trajectory's clear. Indie studios and their games can evolve into single A, double A, or even triple A entities remarkably quick, sometimes in just a few years. The purest form of indie remains the solo developed game. Minecraft is often misremembered as a one-person project. Notch began it alone, but a team formed as it grew. The true standouts for solo developed games are Tetris and Stardew Valley, both massive commercial successes created by a single individual. One lesser known but deeply impressive example is Convergence, a VR extraction shooter set in an apocalyptic world. The gunplay's on point. I've been using a .44 Magnum revolver. Oh, see that gun flip? Do you see that? Gun flip reload. What a beautiful ability. There's a button for gun flipping, so you can be Big Iron.
Among them had a big iron on his hip, big iron on his hip.
Developed entirely by one guy, under the name Monkey with a Bomb. VR development is unforgiving, especially solo. Yet he continues to refine and support the game with genuine care. He's active in the Steam forums, responding thoughtfully to players. When I posted a review of his game on my channel, he watched the video despite my small audience and left a kind, appreciative reply. That kind of personal engagement from a solo creator is rare and genuinely moving. Indie games have never been more prominent or more powerful. The term itself is evolving. It no longer strictly means small, unknown, or underfunded. Indie studios are routinely acquired by giants like Tencent and Krafton. The path from indie to AAA is no longer exceptional. It's a well-trodden route to success. Over the past few years, I've played far more indie titles than anything else. For many of us who've been gaming for decades, AAA releases have become synonymous with disappointment, bloated development, recycled ideas, and diminishing innovation. I still carry nostalgia for the older Grand Theft Auto and Battlefield games, but I've lost interest in much of what Bethesda now produces, for example. Success seems to have calcified their approach. The soul was slowly drained from some of those franchises. I remain hopeful for titles like GTA 6, but my expectations are measured. I'm no longer blindly optimistic. What do you think? Once a studio receives major investment or is acquired, can its games still be called indie? I'm Adam, and this is Seagrave Gaming. I'd love to read your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.